Self-driving vehicles, also called autonomous vehicles, are sweeping the nation at a rapid pace since their inception and development began only a few years ago. With major international companies including Waymo, Intel, Toyota, and Uber leading the charge, self-driving vehicles have transformed from abstract ideas to functional prototypes tested in select cities in the United States, including Arizona. But are these cars truly ready for testing on public roads? Currently, no. Despite mostly clean track records for these vehicles, a wide range of limitations prevents them from reaching a functional state under certain conditions. With the safety of these vehicles under fire due to recent accidents, it is clear that certain safety regulations imposed on these vehicles could prevent further incidents from occurring in Arizona. This message is directed towards the Self-Driving Vehicle Oversight Committee. I encourage you to take action to ensure the safety of drivers and pedestrians, while continuing to support the development of these vehicles. If some of the newer members of this committee are unaware, autonomous vehicles are not prepared for driving in every condition. Even with over 3.5 million autonomous miles driven, Waymo's vehicles reportedly struggled to make left turns in Phoenix, a basic skill required for driving. It's clear that while the vehicles perform well in controlled environments, driving on public roads is a much harder challenge. The same goes for self-driving trucks. The technological obstacles facing autonomous trucks are higher than the ones for self-driving cars. Computer systems cannot always differentiate between objects on the side of the road and can be thrown off by ice, snow, and sand. Additionally, infrastructural and ethical issues not previously considered have begun emerging. Philosophers have begun pondering serious questions, including the infamous trolley problem. In the event that a death cannot be avoided, who should be sacrificed, one or many? The difference between this situation and self-driving vehicles is that the decisions for every possible scenario will already be programmed into the vehicles. Public health officials have taken notice of the same issue, arguing that forced choice algorithms like the trolley problem call for an important and immediate role for public health expertise, advocacy, and community engagement. In addition, significant legislative changes will need to be made for the inevitable accidents involving autonomous vehicles. As it stands now, cars cannot legally drive themselves. Simple negligence suits that involve two parties could be replaced with complex, lengthy, and expensive liability litigation with multiple defendants. Who holds responsibility in these cases? Current law puts a high duty of care on car drivers because they handle potentially dangerous weapons. It is reasonable to assume that responsibility will be delegated to companies that produce these vehicles when drivers are no longer a factor. This question and dozens of others remains to be answered. As you can tell, there are a great many hurdles that must be solved before self-driving vehicles can safely take to the roads. With the current lack of any regulation in Arizona regarding the testing of these vehicles, I propose that safety restrictions be put in place to protect other drivers and pedestrians. Though you, the committee, are the most qualified to determine new potential solutions, I propose the formation and enactment of new regulations on these vehicles to ensure the safety of others in both the present and the future. Based on current automotive law, autonomous vehicles should not be able to target pedestrians or cyclists if the option of hitting another vehicle is open, no matter if the pedestrians or cyclists behaved negligently. The prevention of such events now could save lives in the future. The formation of a no-fault system, like those for vaccines, could solve complex legal battles involving autonomous vehicle accidents. A no-fault compensation fund, funded by buyers or motor vehicle fees, could award compensation to sufferers without complex legal action. Even the inclusion of 2 or more drivers in every test vehicle would increase awareness and decrease error due to fatigue or distraction. I implore the members of this committee to seriously consider the proposed restrictions on the vehicles, as a future with autonomous vehicles is quickly approaching. These cars will be road-ready in only a few short years, and the public will have to be prepared for them. Leading engineers in the field assert that current technological limitations will be resolved in only a few years. A recent study compared the crash rates of Waymo test vehicles to those of human drivers over a 6-year period. They concluded that, despite possible intervention by supervising drivers, Waymo's vehicles had fewer crashes per million vehicle miles traveled. Technology startup Voyage has begun operating self-driving taxis in a gated community club in California, where the vehicles have operated safely and gained acceptance from many of the elderly community members riding in the vehicles. The general public has also begun warming up to the idea of autonomous vehicles. A study conducted by scholars from the University of Greenwich surveyed over 1,000 participants on their opinions of autonomous cars. The researchers concluded that autonomous vehicles are perceived in a generally positive light, with qualitative risk perceptions rated relatively well compared to existing modes of transport. One thing is for certain, self-driving vehicles are here to stay. Although they aren't ready now, steps can be imposed to ensure the safety of drivers and pedestrians around test vehicles until they are fully functional. And at the rate they're evolving, that could only be a few short years away. Thank you for viewing this message, and I hope the committee will take into serious consideration the suggestions that have been made.